around us. Here we delve into those topics that challenge us to think outside the limitations of realism, where we test the boundaries of imagination and are forced to think outside the confines and restrictions of what is normal. We are the creators, the writers, the artists, and the insane. Welcome to our weird realities.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Weird Awakenings. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have with us the normal crazy crew, and we also have our friend David Reed from Where in the Folk. Welcome.
We got the whole folking crew.
That's right. There you go. So
I think that's the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think that's the last time I saw Reed was when I was on your show.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a minute, but
Still
hey, it's
one of the highest ranking episodes ever.
Yay! I love it. All right, so tonight we're talking about time travel. Okay, now first I'd like to quote a very famous time traveler. People assume that time is a strict progression from cause to effect, but actually, from a nonlinear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly timey-wimey stuff. And that comes from the Doctor. And if you don't know who the Doctor is, we need to talk because Doctor Who is awesome. But it's actually a pretty good...
What's his name?
Doctor Who?
Who is that?
Oh my God, Cecil. I'm going to hurt you.
These kids, Morgana.
I know. My goodness.
Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Is it like who's on first? Kind of, you started to try to do that.
Yeah, who?
I'm going to have to disown them, Stephen. You and I are going to be on next week without them. They're grounded. But it's a very accurate, to me, description of what time is, because time is not linear. It's kind of all over the place. So
that reminds me of another
hey Carrie,
time travel quote. I believe it was Abraham Lincoln that said, "Don't believe everything you read on the internet."
Yes, I like that one. Yeah, I like that one.
That's one of my favorites there. So.
That Stephen Hawking had sent out invitations to people to come to a party at a certain time, but they'd only know about it in the future, and nobody showed up to the party. Do you think that's because everybody thought he was lame that he sent it to, or nobody?
Well, I would say everybody in the future probably knew that he had been to Epstein Island.
Well, where
hey,
is
Mike Lewis?
This just got turned off Facebook probably and YouTube.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I wouldn't go to his party. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah. I guess we're just gonna have to have our own parties. But
Right, we'll have our own time travel party.
But hey, I sent out an invitation earlier for people to join us in the future, and so far we've got people here. So
we're here.
That's right.
So I see Mike. Who else joined?
Carrie's on here. I cannot see who the other two are from this side.
Gotcha.
I'm sure there's a way. I just don't personally know it. So
well, if you're on, say hello in the chat.
Yes, please do.
Tell us where you've been in time.
That's right. Okay. So for the people who don't know who the Doctor is, what's your favorite time travel show? Movie, anything like that?
The Time Traveler?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was
I can tell you one I think is the most comical.
What?
It's just one segment in the movie is Superman 1978.
Oh yeah,
where he spins the globe in reverse.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's pretty good one there.
Oh, Future Man. Wait, no, Future Man. They come back to the present. Yeah, never mind. Yeah.
But that's still traveling through time, sort of, kind of.
Yeah, sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
What about Timeline?
Never watched.
Timeline. Yep.
That's like it had the classic 2000s vibe. Like it almost felt like a Knot's Tale.
Oh,
Yeah,
Quantum
yeah.
Leap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap
Quantum
was
Leap.
good.
Dope.
Yes, I liked it.
But-
I can't make myself watch the new one. It's just
Is there
like
a new one?
I can't
yes,
either.
there's a new one.
Yeah.
It's and it's probably not that it's bad. It's just sacrilege to what's his name?
Yeah.
So
Got Bakula.
yeah, there you
The
go.
other
There
two
you go.
people are my friends Jason and Tyler.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yeah. I mean, that seems to be a trend. They're bringing back a bunch of the old shows. You know, like Night
Yep.
Court. They have a new version of it now.
Yes.
I did watch the first episode of that one last night, and it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, because it wasn't too bad. Yes, I liked Sliders.
That was
Spiders.
that was like a parallel universe though. That wasn't really time travel, but it was
Yeah.
a dope show.
But do you think it's
yeah,
maybe
kids
some
were-
of the same concepts apply to both?
Oh yeah, for sure. It was
Isn't
the fat kid from Stand By Me. He was in it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But I like the Avengers and Infinity War, where they go back and they gather up all the
Oh yeah.
stones.
Yep.
I think one of the more sophisticated ones was the movie Interstellar,
Oh yeah.
because there's
Interstellar.
Dude.
Okay.
a lot of
I didn't-
theory based in that script.
And one I really liked too was Looper with Bruce Willis and
Bruce
That
Willis.
was a good one. The Hitman.
yeah. That's the one. And I'm trying to remember what
Hey,
the other
Christian,
guy, Joseph Gordon-Levitt
Oh,
played his
yeah.
younger
Yeah.
self. Yeah.
And that new one, Project Adam or something with Ryan Reynolds.
Yes, that was good. Oh,
I don't think
Mike,
I've
I do
seen that
remember
one, Mike.
Time Tracks. I remember that one. It was only like a season, I think, of it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one
Do
with
you-
Chris Pratt too that came out not too long ago where he helps his daughter solve some kind of.
Oh
alien-
yeah.
yeah,
That was pretty good too. Hey,
Hey,
Lando.
Lando.
Linda.
Hey, Linda.
Yesterday was the day whenever in Back to the Future, Marty arrived at January 19th, 2023, I think, wasn't it?
Yes.
Holy
I
cow.
think you're right. I think you're right.
Well, it ain't nothing like what they thought it was gonna be.
No.
Right?
It's more of a dystopian feel than
Yeah.
What about you guys remember that Jake Gyllenhaal movie Source Code? Where I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of time travel. Like it's like a Groundhog Day on a train that keeps exploding.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
sounds so familiar.
I haven't watched that. I do not like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Well, that's a sacrilege in and itself.
Donnie Darko was a bore.
You know what? If you want to say that about S. Darko, I'll let you have it. But Donnie Darko was not.
Southpaw was awful. Nightcrawler.
Oh, Time Cop.
That
Time Cop.
Time Cop. Carrie, that's
12
what I was trying to
Monkeys?
remember.
12
12
Monkeys. Oh, yeah.
Monkeys.
yeah, 12 Monkeys is good.
Can't beat John Claude Van Damme.
I wonder which came first, Time Cop or Back to the Future? Which came out?
Back to the Future came out. John Claude Van Damme was an early '90s sensation.
Because they kind of copied their concept on getting in the vehicle and hitting a certain speed.
Yeah.
So I guess
Yeah.
I'll take the first approach into insanity here today.
All right.
Project Looking Glass.
Looking Glass, where
There
they
you
look
go.
at a piece of glass and they see the future, past, and present.
So I believe the Vatican ended up with that technology that they can see. I can't remember exactly how far it is into the future, but allegedly all of the nefarious entities in our world are constantly making adjustments and looking into this instrument to see how it's affecting the future, to see if we're going in the direction that they want it to go in.
Okay. I couldn't remember exactly how it went.
Chrono,
I don't know
like a chrono. What was it called? The Chronovision.
That was one of them. There have been multiple. Chronovision was actually a patent that got seized.
Yeah, they apparently captured footage of Abraham Lincoln's speeches and the
Jesus.
crucifixion of Jesus.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff in there.
So Chronovision was invented. I think we looked at that in the 1800s
Mhm.
or the early 1900s, and somebody tried to get a patent on it, and that's when it got seized. Because that was in our episode of patents the like everything from cures to cancer and all kinds of good stuff got seized.
Yeah.
Free energy. There was about 16 different free energies.
Right. Well, that's Tesla died completely destitute, and all he wanted to do was give people free electricity.
Mm-hmm.
The call of him.
Yeah.
That's funny, Landa.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think, if we're being honest.
So I was looking at like some old pictures and stuff that supposedly prove time travel is actually going on now.
Are you in a position to where you can share?
That's what I'm trying to get back to that window.
There's numerous things that archaeologists find all the time that show stuff that should not be in that time period. But I don't know if that's a case of time travel or just a case of true technology they had at the time that we've been suppressed to not think was possible then. Because the way that I feel the Earth was, before the 1800s, was pretty well advanced,
right?
Opposed to what they're telling us, and it's coming out more and more every day to be looking like it's true. So, like the instance when they found a watch inside of a rock, like
yes.
They believe that could have came from a person that time traveled, and there was actually a TV show that included that. It was part of the military, and they sent him back into the past. But when he evaporated, they just assumed he was dead. But sometime later, they found that watch, and apparently it was something really accustomed to that guy particularly.
Mike Lewis, bring me some nanobots when you get them too.
Just like with Interstellar, though. Like it's almost mind-numbing to think about this. So if you chose to go back in time, you're only choosing a moment in time to go back to, and in doing so,
you only got one moment to don't miss your chance to blow.
Yeah. Well, no. In all seriousness, if you chose a moment to go back in time, it's going to create an alternate universe, right?
Right.
Because there's a universe where you go to another second, where it literally any second in history, there's infinite universes that you could cross over into.
Right. Oh crap! Hold on a second.
You're going to get it banned.
What's the movie that where they had the?
I'll never get us banned, Tully.
What was the movie?
It's the one where it had something to do with time travel, and the concept was that similar matter could not be in the same space at the same time, and when they touched one another, they like obliterated.
Yeah, it's Paradox.
There's a movie that's in.
Oh no, it isn't the one, is it?
No.
Can't really remember.
Seems like it was a really cheesy
But
movie.
I guess like that link that you sent me, Stephen, that person who allegedly time traveled talked about a world war in 2015 that killed most of the world.
Yeah.
So that's what gives me alternate reality vibes, where you may not just be crossing a timeline, you may be crossing into a parallel universe as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, he's not the only one to predict something like that. There was someone else, and I can't remember who it was, predicted that the war would start in 2014, which technically, if you go back and you look at it, with what's going on now in between Russia and Ukraine, technically that some think that the beginnings of that really did occur in 2014. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, it seems like we've been. I mean, they don't call it a world war, but technically, it's a world intense situation.
I'm sorry. Put us back on course, Cecil.
Nothing's asking the wrong person for that.
Yeah, we can't talk about the current state of things.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I brought it up because somebody had predicted.
We'll save that for wearing the fault.
Supposedly a different time.
Yeah, we'll do an episode on. Maybe that could be a quick hit for the next episode.
Yeah.
We'll spend 30 minutes counting the billions.
Did they ever discredit John Titor?
I don't know if anybody successfully debunked him or not.
There's an awful lot of strange things with John Titor, wasn't there? Like everything he said kind of made sense. Like the computer he came to get was a Mac?
Something from like the 70s or 80s, late 70s or early 80s or something like that.
Well, whatever he came and got was like the only computer that they foresee being usable in the future.
Yeah, right. So that was kind of strange in itself, with some of the stuff that he said that he came to get.
So what about? I'm sure you've all heard about the theory that there's at some point in the future, there's a perfected artificial intelligence that's controlling the past.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the Matrix theory to me. Like I feel like I personally feel like there's a strong chance we live in a simulation right now, and it could be something that's controlled from the future.
It might not be a simulation in the sense of like we're literally jacked into a video game, but in the sense that at some point in the future, you have an artificial intelligence, like a transcendent situation, to where we already know that there's technology to look into the past and future, but this AI harnesses it to some end to either perfect or destroy our civilization.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you look at there's some pretty wild conspiracy theories out there now. One was saying that everybody died in 2020 and we're all in a simulation now. So
yeah,
I think it was more around 2013,
2012, 2013.
Was that what it was?
Fired up.
Okay, I'm sharing something else, but I'm not sharing the internet, so maybe
That's Reed right there.
Okay, no. First, look at this picture. Look at this picture, and then I'm going to show you the meme that came out this last week.
Okay.
Can you read that?
Woody Harrelson and Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
It does look like them.
It does.
Yeah.
So
it does. It's uncanny. It's almost like we're recycled in some ways. You've seen the pictures of like, oh Lord, I'm blanking on actor names. All the actors where you see pictures of them in the 1800s, and it's like uncanny resemblance.
Weirdly, every big actor, Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves especially.
Oh, that's the one that popped up on my screen earlier before I shut it back down. It was Jay-Z from the 20s, and now.
Well, and there was a cartoon. It might have been Inside Job. There was a cartoon that
Thanks, Carrie.
In the cartoon, all of these A-list stars behind the scenes, they're like, well, I've had a good, X amount of years run. I have to go back into hiding. And they were like drinking people's blood and stuff to stay looking like they were.
Or what about that? Do you remember that movie Death Becomes Her? And everything, it's like, oh, look, there's Elvis. There's a big problem with people that have faked their own deaths showing up in the tabloids,
Now, tell me how Inside Job was like the number one show in the world whenever this last season came out, and they immediately cancel it.
Oh, is it canceled now?
Oh, yeah. It got canceled real quick after that second season.
Wow.
Okay. I haven't gotten to the second season yet.
I ain't watched it all the way through, but that was a fun little cartoon. Total
It was.
Another cartoon that you always see stuff about is what is it? Is it not? Is it Family Guy or the Simpsons?
The Simpsons.
For sure. So much stuff in that.
Predictions.
The person's but going down the escalator, and then that really happened.
I feel like this is for sure a propaganda machine, because who in the hell still watches new seasons of The Simpsons?
Well, evidently somebody. It's 21 seasons deep.
I think that they are.
It's as old as I am. It's like 37 years old.
If I'm not mistaken, Matt is 33rd degree Mason.
Yeah.
Oh, see, and that's part of it right there. I guess I'll dive off into my own kind of the weeds out here on this one right here. With a lot of this stuff that goes on, I just wonder how much it is, that's actually released out into the public. Then you have another group of people who are going to make sure that what's been predicted on something like that is going to happen. If y'all are following what I'm saying there on that, it's just like that with the Simpsons, and they control it and they're making sure that it's going to happen. You just said what you said about him, and I'm just wondering if that's part of what's going on with some of this.
There's some more nefarious things about Matt Groening or whatever his name is that we shouldn't probably go into, but he's a interesting character.
Well, and you have to think all of the news channels today that we have on TV are just as good as fiction too, because they're all controlled now.
Yeah, it's uncanny, whenever people who take the time and they'll have all these different news reporters from different parts of the country all repeating the exact same line.
Yeah, you've all seen those videos, right? Where it's like 50 frames of different news channels and they're saying the same thing word for word.
Yep. Word for word. Yes.
Oh yeah. It's all released from the AP. They all get it at the same time. They're all told to release it at the same time. And
if anybody goes off script, you're done. Like it's what do you call them? Useful idiots.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you ever read that book?
Look, I read the instruction book.
Okay, so when you were researching, did you come across the guy called John Titor or Titor?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I didn't send you the link. That's
John.
I sent one to Telly.
I hope it's not. Is it? I always said it was Titter. Is it not Titter?
Titor.
Yeah. George Noriar always pronounced it John Teeter.
Teeter.
Okay, Teeter.
That don't make sense.
Well, you know who else falls into this is Graham Hancock.
Oh yeah,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the research that he's done creates a lot of trouble in timelines and the archaeological community, which is why he was excommunicated.
Well,
from history, like pretty much all. I'm surprised they picked him up for a show.
Well, Graham Hancock, he don't really cover time travel. He just covers, ancient technology, basically what we believe. And
Right. And that's what I'm saying. In doing so, in his archaeological studies, he creates trouble for the narrative of our timeline.
when it comes to time travel, I think it's quite possible because they have ways to bounce into other dimensions, and I kind of think that with so many different dimensions, there probably is like dimensions that's behind us or dimensions that's ahead of us to where we could jump into them and be in the future or be in the past.
I can remember the first person I remember listening to that got really deep into time travel with me was Art Bell.
Yeah.
Back, in the 80s, because he was late night NPR, and, he touched on a lot of things that, aren't necessarily considered, good subjects, but some of the stuff that he did delve into, like I said, because I'd seen The Time Machine and multiple other things, but listening to him, it's like, that's a real person, and he's talking about things that I think is right, I think is true. So it was almost like validating when I first started listening to him, because I'm like, he is publicly saying this stuff. So, in a time when it was, just definitely not something popular to talk about.
So what were the real big hits outside of the World War? What were the real big hits with Teeter?
Oh, let me get back to you.
I don't think he really predicted much of anything.
It looked like he talked about where he came from, like what it was like, but I just didn't know if he made any predictions or anything.
I don't remember finding that he made really predictions, but he talked about, like, say, where he came from and all that stuff. let's see, except what there was the global nuclear war thing that he was talking about.
Mhm.
But
There was one guy that there's actually a documentary about, and I cannot remember his name. But when they found him in the streets of New York or a big city like this, where his head was shaven, his eyebrows were shaven, like he was completely shaven.
Is that the man from Tourette or?
No, the man from Tourette's a completely different person.
Gotcha.
But this guy said that he was sent back from the future for some reason. Gosh, I wish I would have done better research on that one. I literally watched it, but he ended up being found dead.
Oh, you're not talking about the guy that showed up wanting to speak to the president.
Yeah.
I think he disappeared after that.
Yeah.
Like after.
It's a guy. It was the name of the documentary is "Confessions of a Time Traveler," the man from 3036.
I did read something about that.
Let's see. Thank goodness we have Google at our disposal.
I know, right?
Well, while you're pulling stuff up, this also plays into Stargates as well.
Now, this is terrifying. He warned of something called the big blackout that we're going to face in our timeline. I do remember that. Now, think about the grid and how they're always talking about how sensitive the grid is now and how it can be hacked and things of this nature. So that's one thing that if you believed in this guy, the guy from 3036, is something that he read in his history that happened during our time. So anytime we could have the big blackout. And a good thing that puts you in mind of this, if these nefarious people are trying to make something happen, when was it that every flight in America was grounded last week?
That was last week.
Yeah.
Last week. Yeah.
Over one computer system?
That's hilarious, actually. I think that's comical.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, like, to really take down everything, they would only have to go into like 4 different things and everything be done?
We're going, I mean, like, I don't know that I believe that, like, that's real. I know that that's what they reported. But if you think about the 70s, like, what was going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, unless someone attacked the United States, there would not have been a grounding of flights for a reason like that.
Mm-mm.
Well, first of all, because it didn't exist.
So, do you think that there are limitations? Because, like I said, for me, with, the concept of parallel universes, anything's possible. Because, there are going to be earlier timelines, there are going to be later timelines and stuff like that. But to actively time travel in the sense of the movies and stuff like that, do you think it's one way? Do you think you can only go forward, or you can go back or forward, or?
I think it's multi. Like I mentioned Stargates a minute ago, but they're those people who claim to have went through Stargates into almost a avatar, to where they're gone for 20 years and they come back and it's been like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So that leads me to believe that not only is time not linear, but it doesn't work the same everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that doesn't always travel the same speed.
Yeah, that's right.
That's true.
Well, and
that's something that people used to think it did.
And that's the other thing too is time is different in an airplane than it is here. Not a huge difference, but you know.
Interstellar did that perfectly, where his daughter ended up like 80 and he was still the same age.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched that.
Yeah,
it's on my list of stuff I need to watch, but I haven't.
That's like one of the greatest movies ever created.
Okay, I'll move it up on my list then. How about that?
It needs to be at the top.
Okay.
I'll have to watch that tonight.
It also has the best soundtrack ever created, in my opinion.
Really? Better than Guardians of the Galaxy?
I was going to say the same thing, Stephen.
Okay, the best original created, like it was created for the movie.
Okay.
Oh,
all right.
okay. Okay.
One
Okay.
terrifying thing about Interstellar is what's happening on Earth at the time before he goes into space, which is that Bly is taking down all the crops and everything, and it's depleting the oxygen in the air.
Mhm.
And that's the reason they're trying to get off Earth.
Species are dying out. Food
Yeah.
source species.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Speaking of time and species,
Mhm.
this time next year we're gonna have the first recreated woolly mammoth alive.
I want to
Really?
ride it.
These people didn't watch Jurassic Park, evidently.
They're basically creating it. So these scientists have a plan. They have a list of extinct creatures to bring back,
Mhm.
and I think the incubation period for a woolly mammoth is, I mean, it's something like 15 or 20 months or something. Like, it's long.
Yeah,
Right.
and since they had some woolly mammoths that were flash frozen,
Mhm.
But they have I think it's some kind of elephant that they're using to incubate it with.
Mhm.
was it the Asian elephant?
I think so. But I saw today that thing's locked and loaded for next year. Like that,
Really?
we're gonna
See,
have a mammoth, I guess.
That's insane. I mean, like I said, all bullshit aside, all the movie, joking aside, the climate was different then. The habitat was different then. We've got wolves coming out of their habitats and attacking people because they no
Yeah.
longer have have one. What the hell is the woolly mammoth gonna do?
You know what? I'm
Even
here
if
for it.
they-
Yeah, Mike. Tasmanian
Yeah.
tiger was another
Uh-huh.
one.
Yeah.
That's on the list too. But here's my thing: if you got them, bring them back. Like I you know what? I would have settled the debate about all the fossils because the running joke is that all the fossils they find are really of giants,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they are. They ain't a joke.
and well, no, the joke in our community.
Oh,
Mm.
yeah.
But if they brought back a T-Rex.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you really got a T-Rex, bring it back. Like, let's see it.
Okay, and I've literally only watched 15 minutes of any combined Jurassic Parks, and I'm
Really?
sorry, I just think that's a bad idea.
I agree with you on it being a bad idea.
Bring
Oh,
back the T-Rex, and if it gets out of lot, with our technology today, there's no way that a T-Rex is going to take.
I
over
want
the
to change
world.
my favorite time travel movie to Men in Black 3.
That
yeah,
is good.
that was good. Yeah. And then of course, we left out Terminator. So
Oh yeah.
There's
Well,
no-
If they bring that woolly mammoth back, I think it will crash and burn within no time because the diet that it probably ate is
Well,
gone.
You have to
Yeah.
think though.
They would have
Reed,
to genetically engineer it to be compatible with the vegetation stuff that we have now.
it's technically only going to be. Wouldn't it only be half if
Yeah.
it's born
Yeah,
from an
it's-
elephant?
Right.
well, no, unless they create it and implant it into the elephant already as an embryo.
Just as
Like-
a
I see
surrogate.
right,
Yeah.
I think somehow that's how they have to do it. They actually have to introduce the woolly mammoth genes into the egg. Or
I didn't
something like
mention
that.
this is in Siberia.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no telling what they will uncover by the time the permafrost gets done
Well, no,
melting.
this Jurassic
Yeah.
Park is in Siberia.
Uh-huh.
Right. I kind of have a feeling that they're not really recreating it. I have a feeling that they just found more. And they're going to be like, hey, look at what we made, but it's just been out there chilling the whole time.
And those
Frog
roots.
DNA.
Yeah.
What about
Frog
the frog
Yeah.
DNA?
What about frog DNA?
That's what they use in Jurassic Park. They
Oh,
would
was
spike
it?
DNA with frog DNA to
Yeah.
make the
I
lizard.
told you, I've seen 15 minutes of the entire franchise.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, because the frogs can change their.
Don't you remember that video? And then we take the frog DNA and turn it.
But that's how everything goes south, though, because the frogs can change from male to female.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that was the
Yeah.
premise
Okay.
behind
Yeah.
that was amorphic
So,
protection.
Yep, exactly.
in theory, then, if we want to, reach a little bit, that could be time travel technically, if they bring back something from back then.
I believe that's time travel, pulling things from the past into the now, for sure.
Right. Well, Jonathan
That's
Mayberry,
hilarious.
Jonathan Mayberry has a set of books called V Wars. It's not just him. It's like each book has multiple writers, and they released this basically disease or retrovirus from the permafrost, and it brought out people that had vampire in their history. So in other words, vampires were under the permafrost, and if you had it in your history, then it became active in you. But the thing about it is, it would be like, say, if you're from Ireland, or your history is Ireland, then that is that's the kind of vampire you would be, is from their folklore. If you were from Transylvania, it would be that type of vampire. So you had all these different types of vampires. But that was another one of those things hidden under the damn permafrost that they need to leave the hell alone.
If you believe what they say, they got all kinds of things in that permafrost that's going to kill us.
Oh, yes.
And I hate to say this, but I'm pretty sure there's multiple labs across the world that have the exact same shit just chilling in a refrigerator.
In a deep freezer.
Oh, yeah. And they probably, as things have been uncovered, that's exactly where it ends up at. They know what it'll do, who it'll do it to. It's just a matter of, using it when they think it's the right time.
Yeah.
So, because so much is lab grown, and it's right up there with that leaf crap alone. If you want to reproduce something, let's resurrect vegetation, corn, potatoes.
Did you see where they found amber with air in it, and they tested the air, and there was like an exuberant amount more oxygen in that air than what we have today?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's a combination of things. Like the Earth is constantly losing oxygen anyway. Like it's escaping the atmosphere.
But that's why everything's smaller now. So, like, trees were probably a mile high at some point.
Well, I mean, like you can see evidence of these trees and everything everywhere. They call them like mountains and things now. Some strange looking mountains out there. What's that one? The Devil's something.
Yeah. The devil. I know what you're talking about, because it's like in the middle of the desert, and nobody can explain how it got as big as it is or as tall as it is. And
it looks like it's been cut by a chainsaw at the top.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That sacred, the sacred Aboriginal mountain it looks exactly like that too.
Mm-hmm.
And have you guys seen the one with the axe still in it?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
There's one of those mountains
that has
literally it looks like an axe sticking out of a tree stump.
Really?
A massive axe, like crazy.
Oh, wow.
I can't see, so I'm misspelling everything. I'm gonna blame it on that. I can't find it.
I'll see if I can find the link.
Oh, man. That's pretty cool to see.
Learn how to make a tomahawk.
Yeah.
I've got a curveball for you all when you're ready.
Okay.
Ready.
Let's go.
Is reincarnation a form of time travel?
I would think so.
Yeah, but it would be one of those that's limited to traveling forward.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I would think that would fall under that.
I believe if you could remember, because I mean, you traveled from this point in time, from your death to a new point in time. Yeah.
Well, some of us do remember some of that.
Not me.
Is deja vu a form of time travel?
I think deja vu has something to do with time travel, personally,
or different dimensions.
Well, it's either time travel or somebody in an alternate dimension made the same choice you made.
Or I think that it could be too that deja vu is giving you a glimpse into another dimension. There's like a crack in the shell or something that's showing you for just a second.
What's scary to me, because I do think it's something like, my personal thought has always been somebody in an alternate dimension made the same decision I've made, but I've not had deja vu in a long
I haven't
time.
either.
And so I think that person didn't make it like that. Like that Cecil didn't make it to this point.
Well, they say every time you have a close encounter, it's just you changing into a different timeline.
Yep.
Possible.
Yeah, I watched something not too long ago. Oh, and by the way, and this is totally off subject. I'll apologize first, but I don't want to forget it.
Off subject, not us.
Yeah, From on MGM TV, the series From. Y'all said, "Oh, you've got to watch this." That is a jacked up show.
Love
Yes,
my favorite show from.
It's a great show.
It's one of my favorites.
It's insane though. I watched it in 2 sittings. So,
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's worthy, man. It's called From. It's friggin' phenomenal.
Yeah, it's definitely different, you know, and that's usually what catches my interest is if it's a new concept, and that one totally is. So thank you for it, but it is still crazy as hell. Okay, so
I might take off whenever all the season 2 comes out. I might take off work and just chill for 3 or 4 days and watch it all at once.
You know, Landa, same, because I don't remember the last time that I've had deja vu either.
I remember having it all the time. Like I thought it was intuition at the time.
Yes.
No, it doesn't. Now I don't have it all.
Well, maybe the technology's there now to block a lot of it.
That's a very good possibility.
The AI's already took over.
If you think about it, if I really think about it, the last time I had deja vu, I was probably in my early 20s, which would have been what, 2005, 2006, and that would have been before cell phones were really prevalent like they are now. Like I didn't even have a cell phone at that time.
Think about all the waves in the air now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like nobody ever questioned that. We went from flip phones and CDs to literal songs just streaming through the air on our phones and stuff.
Yes.
Nobody was ever like, how is that just floating through like space and time? You know what I mean?
Right. Oh yes, because I remember, you know, burning CDs from the few things I could download. So, you know, I'm aging myself here, but
can anybody that's currently watching remember a time like the last time they had deja vu? Do any of you?
I'm like
2012, 2013.
It hasn't been. I don't know. It's probably been a couple of years since I've had that.
Huh?
Yeah, I've had it. You know, it's only been It's only been a few years, 2, 3, maybe, since I've had that. So
it's been a long time for me. Rest in peace, brother.
well,
I made it and you didn't.
I would say to you, Mike, that if it is a glimpse into another dimension, then that would make perfect sense that you haven't seen it since you lost your sight.
It would be more of a feeling though, like deja vu, like is like a gut feeling, basically. Like I've done this before, I've touched it.
Yeah,
I've drank
yeah.
it.
Well, like I said,
yeah. To me, that's exactly what it was. I mean, it's just like you see yourself in whatever the situation was, and it's kind of like, oh man, I've already gone through this once.
Yeah. But you know, like I said, I think there's a lot involved in it. Like I said, you know, I think that some of it is the sense, some of it is a feel, some of it is you're seeing something that you think you've seen. So like I said, if you lose a sense, I would think that would affect it in some ways.
We might be eating content up for a future episode. I feel like deja vu is probably on this list behind me.
I don't know if it is or not. I don't have my list in front of me.
I always like Yogi Berra's quote. You know, it's like deja vu all over again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm finally. It took me a crazy amount of time to find this for some reason.
Well, it's because it's the internet and they don't want us to track things sufficiently or easily. I'm using Yahoo. I find better stuff on Yahoo than I do on Google. It's insane.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I just shared Morgana.
Okay. Gotcha. You've got to go and sign your account up too, dude.
Yes, I do.
Wow, that's it.
Whoa.
How's that even formation? Like, how do they explain that away with science?
Wow.
Like, oh, science.
Well, I know the one that's called the devil's whatever. They say that, oh, well, there used to be water in the desert and it just wore it away.
And there
And
was
that's
just
what's
So, yeah.
left.
little.
I mean, you can really see. I mean, it looks like a fossilized tree to me.
Mm.
Good night.
Mhm.
Is that in
Yeah.
America?
Oh,
America.
my God.
We're
We
totally
lost him.
Tell
He
me,
probably
where are
took
you?
Velvet trying to close that.
Yeah,
Mm,
he probably did.
Good
hit the
riddance
wrong
is what I
X.
say. Oh, he's
There
back.
he is.
Take me down. No, that was an. I think that was an ID10T.
Definitely not this into your. Let's see.
But I think that's in New Mexico, isn't it, Tully?
You know what? I have no idea.
Okay.
Never been there.
That you remember.
I remember.
Mhm.
Let's see if I
I
can
have had
find.
I had to have a lot of fear and loathing experiences, you know. You never know.
Clawing at the plexiglass trying to get to the pizza.
Anytime you're in a jail cell and you ask them for a piece of pizza, they beat you with clubs.
What?
That's just a FYI.
That sounds like an experience.
But time
Well,
travel, when it
Yeah,
comes
my
to
internet's being super slow, Morgana. I'll have to look that up.
Okay, cool. Go ahead, Cecil.
whenever it comes to time travel, like I have very little doubt that there isn't a form of time travel out there because the Nazis created the bell, and apparently people recall seeing the bell when it disappeared during the reign of the Nazis.
Mhm.
And that bell was later seen in like the 60s or 70s in I think Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it was Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And so that was a form of time travel that's essentially was proven
Mhm.
with quotation marks.
Okay. So do you mean like a literal bell?
It looked like a bell. It was a time machine, but it was
Yeah.
in the shape of a bell. And
So have
somebody
you seen this?
seen it.
You're talking about the Nazi bell,
Yeah, the Nazi
Yeah.
bell.
or the yeah?
Yeah.
Have you seen those pictures of people in the 1800s? Like it literally looks like the Liberty Bells, and all across America, they took them down. Like there's pictures of people sitting across like 80 or 100 of those huge bells that they were taking down because, well, the theory is that they took them down to stop like healing frequencies that they emitted.
Well, those were probably tied into Tartaria, which
And-
is where he's receiving free energy. Those probably had a constant little vibration to them that made everybody feel better and stuff.
Which
So,
is
yeah,
why
they
we
had
only have one cracked one left.
They
Yep.
had a dean that allegedly was like literally healing.
Mm.
what
And
if it was just playing Iron Man on those all the time?
But I'm going to tell you though, I've got probably 15 Tibetan singing bowls, and the vibrations and stuff off of them, it's amazing. I mean, I can be just completely wrecked, just done, and sit there for 15 minutes and just let that vibration and that sound go, and just it completely changes my mood. So yeah, bells with healing I could definitely see. Because especially if they could hit those higher tones and stuff.
And I had saved a video with historical pictures. It was definitely from the same time as like the World's Fairs.
Mhm.
And the video got taken down, so I don't have it anymore, and the pictures aren't very easy to find.
Well, that's strange. Why would they take something like that down?
And
But I'm talking, it looked like they were celebrating it, but there were probably, I mean, at least 100 to 500 of those massive, massive bells. Like the people look like ants next to some of them.
Really?
I recommend screenshots and an external hard drive for future.
Yeah. But
If
now,
uh-huh.
if you have a Google account, it's getting to the point where if you store stuff on your phone, even it could disappear and you may not notice it.
Yeah, that's why I have multiple avenues of stuff. I don't throw stuff away. And I came across some of the old stuff I found researching, 20 years ago. And, but like I said, I've got, an external server, an external backup, I'm sitting here looking at 4 separate computers. So I had an external hard drive get knocked off one time and lost, I have no idea how many pictures. And that broke me from not saving things in multiple locations.
Well, Morgana, you said you've got stuff that's saved. What did you say? 20 years?
Probably, yeah. It was back when the internet first got popular.
Okay. Do you have anything saved that has been that they're claiming was never that way at any point in time? It's kind of like we talked about the Mandela effect.
Right. Well, let me get through some of it.
Yeah.
Like I said,
I'll say that whenever which, I mean, that I have to talk to people about some of the stuff at some point. And when people hear that, like, we're all involved in conspiracies and stuff, they're always like, well, what's some crazy stuff that you have to tell me about? And I always try to start with something vanilla, like Mandela effect or whatever.
Yeah.
And I always, to people, within our age range, within like our 2 generations, everybody knows the Berenstain Bears, obviously. And I almost broke somebody's mind because they went and pulled out their baby childhood book and it was no longer the Berenstain Bears.
Yeah.
And that's how she got pulled to our side.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's the most obvious one because, like I said, I remember having discussions about whether it was pronounced Stein or Steen.
Exactly.
There was never a stain involved with it.
There's been, I don't know what the deal is, and Cecil's been helping me through some of this.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
Tombstone.
I've been having a lot of.
I thought it was a movie.
There's a lot of geographical Mandelas coming out now.
Yeah.
And one of them was like the capital of Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was the longest river in America. And the first one people were contested on, but the second one people were losing their mind about. Because everybody on the feed thought that the longest river in America was the Mississippi.
It's Missouri.
And it's
the Mississippi / Missouri, right?
Right. And I think that's what really was tripping me out. And Cecil was like, well, technically the Mississippi could be longer at any given time based on droughts or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
a mile that separates them in length.
Which I've never studied a lot of geography. And I've always just assumed, I guess, that like Sydney or somewhere like that was the capital of Australia. So I think
it was some off the wall place, wasn't it?
It's a little town. I've already forgot the name of it.
Yeah.
I literally
the sea.
When Foley brought it up, I knew it right away. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is it."
It's like Canberra or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not anything I'd ever heard of.
But I think some of that geographical stuff that maybe was implied in school.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes I think they throw misinformation out there to just underplay the Mandela effect.
When it comes to the length of the river, I think that the people that were measuring it just had different size shoes. Is what happened. Like,
you had somebody Toby's hat and somebody else not near that tall.
The stride was a little different.
Yeah.
They were doing it by pace.
Yeah. Canberra.
Looks like
Canberra, yeah.
Yeah, Canberra.
I'd never heard that word in my life before that video.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm right there with you.
But Cecil knew it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I think they take these obscure geographical things and make it into Mandela disinformation. So it's like a gotcha moment, just like anything else.
Now, to be fair, when I figured out the capital of Australia was only like 2 or 3 years ago, whenever they were implementing certain restrictions, I wanted to learn more about the area.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
So, time travel, would you rather go into the past or the future?
with the way grocery prices are right now, definitely the past.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
Let me rephrase the question.
You've heard me say it 1,000 times. If I had time traveling capabilities, I would go into the past and grocery shop.
Well, but what if you could go, like let's say that there's a point of like divergence and the transcendence. Would you want to go see? Okay, let me rephrase the question again. Would you want to go to the end or the beginning?
The beginning for grocery shopping.
Okay.
I don't think that's they're going to sell you any groceries.
Okay, let me rephrase this for Tully. Would you want to go to a time frame or to an event?
Time frame, grocery shopping. that's my answer.
Okay.
Because
but you don't. But you're earning $1 a day. You go back to the 1500s and you earn $1 a day.
Well, who says? I thought I could come back. Like in that show 1122 with James Franco, when he goes back in the 60s, that guy that owned the shop where he got
that was a good series.
Went back and got his meat and brought it back. That's the reason he kept his prices so low.
Okay, using that theory, you go back and buy groceries, you come back and eggs are $500 a carton, and then you go back to the past and they're $10 a carton.
It's that butterfly effect.
Yeah.
If I was the only person, I don't think that's really going to affect it.
Okay, my thing is, I would want to go back, provided that you could definitely come home, because there is so much about history that I know is bullshit that we've been told and taught. I want to see firsthand. If you ever get the chance, there is this book called The Light of Other Days. It's by Arthur C. Clarke and another writer. And it is about scientists find a wormhole and they decide to see if they can send something from point A to point B. And it works perfectly. So I could send something to you and it lands in your living room floor. Well, then as they start working more with this wormhole, it starts having side effects. One of the side effects is people can now read each other's minds, which means all hell breaks loose. Neighbors killing neighbors, husbands killing wives, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, we were talking about Deja Vu and we forgot a really good time travel movie. What? Deja Vu.
Oh, yeah. That was.
I thought of another series that has a lot to do with time travel is the Umbrella Society. Is that what it's called? Umbrella Academy?
Oh, I haven't watched that one, but I've got it on my list. I've got a big list, guys.
I think I would go back. I forget what the technology was called, but when they created the television, they created a version of it to where you could talk to dead people.
Yeah.
And I would steal that and bring it to the future and talk to whoever I wanted to talk to.
Start gossiping it up with somebody from the 1800s.
Yeah, just figure out, like, I would look up a list of banned patents and everybody that they've killed and get that technology.
Yeah.
And the protection and money to keep you from getting unalived.
Yeah, I would just look up people. Like, maybe there's buried treasure somewhere, like these shipwrecks and stuff. I would rise the captain from the dead and be like, hey, did you see where that went?
Be good friends with Nikola Tesla to the point where you just call him Nick. Be like, yo, Nick, how'd you do that for your energy?
Exactly.
And that's it too. There are people that I would love just to meet, Tesla being one of them. But there are also, like I said, it's that concept of, okay, the blood wine of Christ. I'd like to go meet up with them, about that time period and see if Mary Magdalene was pregnant and that they were hanging out and stuff.
Well, you'd have to be like, if you go past, when did English become like English? People talk different even in the 1800s, didn't they? Like our accents and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you went back and tried to even speak to somebody, they'd probably spear you to a wall.
Well,
So you have to be very careful.
There's a common thought that the way that us hillbillies talk is very similar to the way they spoke in England.
I heard that recently. Yeah.
Yeah. If I can find that, if I can find it, I'll send it to you on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, what would you do?
Me being the military geek I am, I would want to go to specific battles. I would love to go back and see the battle of Alexander the Great at Gaugamela.
That would be awesome.
That would be pretty dope.
Go back and watch the first battle of Bull Run.
Get your leg taken off by a cannonball.
No,
well, and when you come back, we could summon Alexander to give us the play-by-play on what happened, like Sports Center or something.
Right. See, this is the part where I went up the middle, man.
What we did.
Yeah. But like I said, there are so many interesting things. Stephen, what would you want to do?
To me, I think it'd be interesting to go back and see if the myth was true about the KGC gold and how they had it buried, and which were the Knights of the Golden Circle, of the Confederacy, where they buried their gold and their silver, and they basically had an elaborate maps. To me, that right there would be interesting to see if that really did happen or if that was just some myth.
I think it's fascinating that none of us want to go to the future.
Well,
isn't it though? Yeah.
Being a reincarnationist, I know I'm going to come back for the future, so I don't care to go travel to it.
Okay, if time travel's real, how exhausted do you think Jesus is?
Pretty exhausted. Well, there's a really strong thought that Saint Germain might have been Jesus.
What?
Yeah, that he's just that when he came back that second time around, he never truly ascended, which this is blasphemous as hell. That's just one of these things I read, that he just continued on.
Everybody's laughing.
As a forever entity,
So do we have Saint Germain on the list? I think we
do. We do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
That's going to be a very interesting conversation, because that guy comes up probably every 3 shows as some sort of
some sort of.
But do you know, I have not heard the C word in a couple of weeks.
Let's talk about it.
We are.
That was something that John Teeter talked about with CERN.
Yeah, that's true. And if you want to talk about something, me and Tully know, like I put something together. Tully was talking about Megan Fox. Is that her name?
Yeah.
She's from Oak Ridge. She's from Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and there's a mini CERN there, and she's been doing a lot of blood rituals recently.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's speculation that
here's the thing. We're going to be talking about the C word on what's technically our 1-year anniversary, the 10th of
that's perfect.
Yeah, the 10th of February.
I'll drop one big bomb.
Well, don't say that.
So I don't know whether it's in the current version of the Bible, but it's in one of the books. It could be in the Old Testament. They describe lands that have obviously been renamed, and in the description of where Lucifer's throne is on Earth, in current cartography, it would be in Switzerland.
Yeah,
close to where CERN and Davos is.
Not close.
Yes. Yeah,
where CERN is.
That's where it was at. The seat of Satan is there. So where CERN is at. Yeah.
You can prepare yourself for the CERN conversation, because it's going to be heavy.
Yeah, that's in Revelation.
Landa, it is our heartfelt goal to make sure you learn something strange every week.
Yes.
or at least something interesting.
Well, listen, Landa, if we have to go crazy searching all of this stuff, the least you could do is just listen to our insane rants every week.
And she does. She's awesome. So, all right, guys, we have actually gone a little bit over. First time in a minute, but this was a good conversation. I mean, it was a really good conversation. Reed, it was really good having you here.
I'll be back.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So what do you guys have coming up? Anything interesting?
Samuel Little series begins on Saturday, which is tomorrow. Wearing the Folk, everywhere you can find anything with video and audio platforms.
And for those that don't know, Samuel Little is a prolific serial killer.
Prolific.
I asked so many people at work when I was, telling them, they always ask me what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Nobody knew who he was. Nobody.
Nope, I didn't either. That's why it was so interesting.
Me
And
either.
being our first episode back, I do a lot of nervous laughter. I don't think it's funny what he did. I just laugh a lot.
You laugh at the most inopportune times.
I do.
Well, and it's funny for the first like 3 years.
Uh-huh.
When I get taken to jail, I laugh a lot, and they don't appreciate it.
Okay. So maybe it was Cecil. If we hear of Cecil having a body in his car, we're going to know who it is. It's not going to be, 3 different people.
The suspect was laughing uncontrollably when we walked up to the car.
That's right.
I don't know what that is.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us. And until next time, stay weird.